Okay, well, let's go over to Shehu now and find out exactly what is happening. Shehu, good morning. What's happening in your neck of the woods?
Yeah. Alaro, your shoe is shining. You have the luxury of having a shiny shoe. Same with Ayo. What we can do is to have our face showing, just like the commercial says there. But yes, our face is showing, so are the faces of these wonderful people of Ekiti State. June 18 is here, the D-Day, and we are in the moment, living in it, and these people are also part of history. Now, they're here to elect the new governor for Ekiti State, and look, a lot of them, they've been here as early as 7 a.m. They've strong displays. See, Alaro, Ayo, look at the queue. A lot of these people have been here. The first thing they do when they get here is to go and check their name right on that board over there on the wall. They check the name on the wall, and when they check the name on the wall, they find out whether or not they are eligible to vote in this polling unit. This is a St. Michael's Secondary School in Ajilosun area of Ado-Ekiti. Don't forget, Ado-Ekiti is one of the largest voting local government areas in Ado-Ekiti. And I'm going to just put you through what is happening right here so you can get a sense of how the exercise is going. Now, a lot of people will be talking about the beavers, the accreditation process, the voting process. How is that going? What exactly is going on? How is it going? Now, so one after the other, I will let you in on how this exercise, the workflow, if the camera can just come this way. And so, whenever you get your PVC, this is the first port of call, and that is the beavers, the machine, the green machine that does the magic. It does the accreditation, it does the capturing, it has the biometrics information of every voter. And so if it can capture your face, capture your fingerprints, you get accredited, and when that is done, you are now good to vote. So let's check out how this workflow happens. So basically, the official checks through the permanent voter card. There's a permanent voter card in the hands of that man. It belongs to that lady who is standing by. He has checked it on the beavers. Then they're taking our official capture. Then he says, she's good to go. And when that happens, she goes round the corner and she comes right here. So this is the point where she comes, you know, she comes right into this place, and this is where, of course, she gets the ballot paper. The ballot paper is being stamped and signed. That means that it's a valid ballot paper. If it's not signed and stamped by the official right here, you cannot see it, or pass it as a valid ballot paper. And when that is done, this is the next port of call. Quickly here, it is the open secret ballot system, and so the voter comes right to this place, and when the voter comes, it tries use the stamp pad, you know, and thumbprints on the ballot paper. And when that happens, Alero and Ayo, I'm just allowing you, so it comes and drops the ballot paper right into this box. Then you have it. You are done for the day. It looks like a long process, but it's a fruitful one for every voter that can stay in line, that can stay it out. And it looks to me that I'm seeing Ekiti people more enthusiastic, more than ever. I've covered several elections in this state, and I'm seeing people who have stayed all day since 8 a.m. and 8:30 when the voting exercise began. And of course, at the end of the day, people are here. But it's not only in Ado-Ekiti that we're covering the exercise. My colleagues are covering the Central, the North, the East Ekiti Senatorial District of the state. Let's take a look at what my colleague Darido has for us in the part where he's covering. And here is Darido and his coverage.
This is Erigino Wardofo in the state central, and of course the electoral officers are here this morning. They said as soon as they got here, the first thing they have to do, they have to set up the cubicle. After setting up the cubicle, they have to paste the voter register name. They said the beaver and all the materials that they'll be using for these elections is already in place. So you can see the process going on right now. Of course, in the background, a few people are trickling in, but we don't have any queue just yet. Darido reporting for Channels Television News.
All right, there you have it. My colleague Darido there. I also have my colleague Emperor Simon. He's also in another part of the state. Take a look at what Emperor Simon is covering, what he can see. Simon, what is happening at your end?
This is Unit 2 of Ward 11, where election process is already in top gear, in the sense that the ad hoc staff are here already setting up the place. For instance, they have already mounted the ballot box. They've also mounted the voting box where voters will be casting their votes. In the meantime, what you see behind me are the ad hoc staff trying to address the voters who have turned out. Some of them turned out as early as 7 a.m. Because they are anxious, they are excited to cast their votes. You can also see there, over there, we have voters checking the voter register to ensure that their names are on the list that have been pasted by the ad hoc staff of INEC. Now, the process here is expected to commence by 8:30 if everything goes out very well. You can see the voters running. They want to hear what they will be told by those organizing the process. So it's really, really election day here. It's clear that it's election day and the people want to exercise their franchise. That's what we have at the moment. My name is Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
Thank you so much, Emperor, for your reporting there. Another stop is my colleague, Babajide Agbeyo, who is standing by. Babajide, what is happening at your end?
It's election morning in Ekiti State, and this is Unit 6, Ward 2 in Ifaki, those local government area of the state. And as we have witnessed this morning, the people are out already, waiting to exercise their franchise. They are all beside me here, discussing in clusters, and of course, expecting the poll to open so that they can vote and perform their civic responsibility. The security situation here is still perfect as of now. There hadn't been any report of violence or any harassment of anybody at any point in time. And talking about the voting exercise itself, from what I see here, according to what the chairman of INEC had said earlier, that the voting cubicle has been kind of redesigned or reduced to check vote buying. And what does that mean? When you come here, you do your thumb printing here, and you may not need to even take more than one step to drop your ballot inside this box. And that really means you do not have any business moving out of this space. So anyone who moves from here and fails to cast his ballot here and moves out of here definitely is going the extra miles and may have questions to answer. So we are expecting that law enforcement agents will do the needful, will check anyone who wants to do anything untoward, and that the people will really come out in their large numbers to exercise their franchise as expected. From Ifaki, in the local government of Ekiti State, Babajide Agbeyo, Channels Television News.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Babajide. Babajide is in Fakini. Dosi is one of the flashpoints. Please do stay safe. Let's get a sense of how far this is coming. You've got the report from virtually every senatorial district of Ekiti State. How are we covering it for you? Let's hear from the coordinating resident electoral commissioner for Ado Ekiti and its environs. I have with me Professor Samego, who is also a resident electoral commissioner. Thank you so much for joining us on Channels Television. So far, would you say it's been good?
I think it has been very good, and apart from the other places I've been to, I think I need to tell the story of this very location. Historically, it has been very problematic, very rowdy, and those who are used to voting here have told me this morning that this is the best, sweet experience they can think of.
So what do you think could have been responsible for this experience? Difference between the past and now?
I think INEC has invested into the outcome you are seeing. In terms of the working on the beavers, in terms of the training of the ad hoc personnel, in terms of the logistics for early movement of people to the polling units. And as you can attest, as early as 7:30, 75% of the polling units in this local government had been opened. And once you achieve that remarkable feat, you solve all other problems. So you start early, you reduce anxiety among people, and the adequate presence of security men has also been very helpful in terms of restoring sanity into the queues. So I think basically this is dividend of a lot of investments and learning from lessons of the past.
Now, this is the major election after the Electoral Act has been passed. So what can you tell us in essence that INEC is doing differently from what you've been doing in the past and now the difference of the electoral law?
Well, I think looking at the electoral law, in terms of the activities that we are doing today and the activities that we'll be doing later, there is no significant difference because we are dealing basically with the voting procedure. It has not changed. The machine we are deploying has not changed. And the system of collecting result and transmission will not change. But certainly,
will it not change? Electronic transmission has been passed. It's part of the law.
No, the point I'm making when I say it will not change is because the same system we are using today, we have used in Edo, we have used in Anambra, we have used in many other elections. So we are simply carrying on with what we have done in recent time.
What about the transmission of result? Because the devil in the process of election in Nigeria is in the collation. That's where people are always afraid that if we go to vote, will it count? Because some people will subvert it by stealing or changing the figures. Is there any dramatic difference that this law will make in the process?
Well, my point about this, and I think Nigerians should not, make mistake. In terms of the process of transmitting results electronically by presiding officers, once the results are announced at polling units, we are not going to do anything differently from what we did in Edo and what we did recently in Anambra. So, in other words, we are not going to reinvent the wheel today. We have tried this out in many standalone elections. And in fact, I was in Anambra, and what we did in Anambra in terms of result transmission is what we are also doing here, because we are not doing electronic voting.
I think a lot, if we talk about the security of the process, I think a lot has changed between Anambra. The situation in Anambra State was tensed before the election. What do you think, excuse me, what do you think the atmosphere prior to this election has it made any significant difference for the exercise? Has it helped the process, if at all?
Yeah, I think moving from Anambra in terms of the outcome, that level, that sense of public confidence is being restored in the result management process. And I think if you listen to the chairman, when he had to explain at the stakeholders meeting, what we are going to do is simply the process that we inaugurated in recent times, with the Anambra election, and that presiding officers, once they finish voting here, and the results are the results are reflected in Form 60E, they will be snapped, and that process of electronic transmission will begin. That is what we are doing.
Well, it's going to be interesting, and we'll still keep touch with you, Prof, to see what exactly is going on. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. It's good to also hear from those who have been part of the process, not only those who are coordinating or preparing this process. Let me speak with one of the voters who has gone through the process. Good morning. Good morning. What is the name? Can we meet you?
Ololaju Kemi.
Have you voted?
Yes.
Can I see your thumb?
This is it.
Oh, there you go. Great, great. So, how did the process go? Is this your first time of voting?
No, this is not my first time.
Did you vote in 2018?
Yes.
Did you vote in 2014?
Yes.
So you voted now.
Yes.
What is your experience like this time?
What I can say is that the voters is going well. There is no any wala.
How long did it take you before the machine accredited you?
Just like on the line or before I vote. Online.
When you got into that place where they did the accreditation?
Just like 5 minutes. Just like 5 minutes.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Well, let's also speak with one of those who are monitoring the exercise, because issue of vote buying was a major issue. I'll be speaking with one of the senior officials of the Center for Democratic CDD, Mr. Austin Aigbe. Thank you, Austin, for coming today.
Thank you very
much. Vote
much.
buying was one issue that you and your group raised. Have you seen any of that kind of situation happening around here?
So interestingly, there's been very strong evidence that some kind of covert vote buying is ongoing. We've had very strong evidence from people at the level of discussion, political actors discussing various polling units across the state, where voters have been asked to move to a certain direction, a certain area. But we cannot say how much was given at this time, but we know that there are movements, there are conversations. We know this is not, the vote buying architecture works in a way that people vote, you see, when you see, then you then buy. So what we're saying is that there's a movement of voters from a location where they voted to another location where they're being escorted by party faithful. So that is the same strategy. They may not have brought the money to the polling unit, but something like that is going on. In fact, very strongly, what happened in Anambra has happened again in Ekiti. One woman said, I will not accept money to vote. I want to vote my conscience, which means she was offered to vote. So that's that kind of correlation. So there is. And don't also forget the statement before now that if you don't vote, you won't have money.
So what we understand and what we are hearing, we're trying to lay our hands on the facts and the evidence, is the fact that when people are being offered, after they're voting, after they vote, they get a tally, and outside of this place, they get to get the money. That's what we're trying to investigate and find out what exactly is happening. We are hearing this, and we're seeing it, the quiet and the silent manner in which they're going about it. But I mean, it does look like when there is a process in place, politicians take one step to subvert the process. Can we evenly and drastically mess up with this idea of vote buying? Can we kill it? Can we curb it?
Yes, we can kill it, but the best way to kill it will be electronic voting. So we don't want a ballot that people can see. It is see and buy. If we can stop see and buy, we will reduce vote buying drastically. Now, if you see, I see you move around the cubicle. If we can make the cubicle more in a format that people are not able to display their ballot. The way it is now, there is a policeman just by the corner. So how do we ensure that the voter, after voting at the cubicle, folds the ballot in a way that is covered and then come out and put in the ballot, in the ballot box? That is where we need to go. What electronic voting will do for us is, there will be nothing to see. When you go into a cubicle, you have done the accreditation process, you go into the cubicle, once you press the button, there will be nothing absolutely to justify which party you vote for. So if the parties go ahead to buy ahead, because we saw yesterday, somebody asked me a question, I said there is pre-buying, people are buying before. So that buying before.
There was a time in this state that people were getting fuel a day before the election as a form of inducement before the election.
But you cannot,
There's a lot of techniques that politicians
but again, you know what the advantage of that is that you can actually lose that fuel if the person goes to the polling unit and eventually not vote for you. Then it becomes the person's conscience. Let's try to do a conceptualization. If you pay before, the voter then has to make up his mind to vote for you or not to vote for you. But in this case, you are putting the voter under a condition that you must vote for me. I will have to see and then pay. If I don't see, I won't pay. So we need to get to the point that politicians will have to automatically pay. If they pay, then the onus will be on the voters to agree to vote.
Thank you so much, Osin Aibe, a member of the senior official from the Center of Democracy and Development, CDD, to focus their attention on this issue of vote buying, which is very prevalent. We've been saying what is happening, because when we talk about monitoring the exercise against vote buying, against unscrupulous activities, you can see NSCDC official, immigration, customs. In fact, we understand that EFCC is going to be on the ground. Perhaps get a sense of how many police officers for these polling units alone. 3 police officers are here watching and waiting very closely, watching what is happening at the polling unit, and party officials are around the cordon area. So you can see there, this is where the polling booth is. But if you look at this carefully, if you look at this, how are you, sir? If you look at this, what is happening right here is somewhat of organization might be needed, because it's clumsy, it's rowdy. One wonders how much of anxiety and anticipation that this is getting, you know. You can see the queue goes on and on and on. Well, that is the situation. Ayo, Alero, what's your take so far?
Can you hear me, Joe? I'm curious. Well, so much has been said. I heard one of the reports that you and your team have filed in a video clip where someone is saying, Dibo Sebe. In other words, they do not want any of this vote buying thing. Can you speak to that very quickly?
Yes, I mean, in Yoruba language, Dibosebe means, literally, it means we won't be voting to cook soup. So literally what it meant was that people were getting money to vote so they can go prepare a meal for themselves. But they said that will not happen. They would vote their conscience this time around, not voting to get a plate of food or a bowl of meal. That's what is being the practice for. Some of them are rejecting it. We're seeing the movement, like the CDD man that I spoke with earlier. I was just trying to cite the Director General of the NYC.
But before you do that, because we have to go somewhere,
whether or not we can...
we won't be able to do that right now,
okay,
but very quickly, speak to this release of partnership between Channels TV and Yaga Africa about ERAD. Can you speak to that very quickly?
Absolutely. At 5 p.m., what we've not seen in Nigeria elections will happen right here on Channels Television in partnership with Yaga Africa, the election result analysis dashboard. Our center is ready, and we will be giving Nigerians the results as they're coming. Live reporting of the results as they're coming. If you have just 30 seconds, let me speak with the DG of the NYC. Just one question to him. Thank you so much, Mr. Fadai, for coming. So far, what has been your assessment?
I've been around to see my co-members, and the situation is very calm. Everything is okay. I'm very confident we'll have a hit-free election by what I've seen on the ground.
And your NYC boys and girls are doing well?
Okay. They are very excellent. They are doing well.
Thank you so much. It's good to see you, General. I appreciate it so much. Ayo, thank you for that moment that you've given the General, the DG of the NYC. Ayo, Alero.
Okay then, Sheung. Well, good luck and stay safe. Well, there doesn't seem to be any problem. Everything's okay. We'll come back to you for an update in a short while.